Hey guys, Dov here with some more Total War Warhammer 2 tournament action today. It's actually a different tournament. This is from an offline tournament that is being hosted by Samurai Warrior in response to the global situation. Since we've got a bunch of content creators cooped up, we're hosting a content creators tournament. So I'm matched up against Turin. We've got Beastmen versus Bretonnia. Let's have a look at the builds quickly. We're on Glacial Lake, so we're going to keep it in slow-mo as we look over things because the action will be quite fast. We've got Razorgore herds, 4 of them, 5 Ungor Spearmen, Butchers of Kalkengard, 2 more Minotaurs with shields, Chaos Poison Warhounds, and a foot squad of 3 summoners, Morker, a Beastcaster, and a Wildcaster. As for Bretonnia, Turn's forces is going to be led by the Fey Enchantress. We've also got Gotrek here, Battle Pilgrims in the front line, Men-at-Arms. We've also got Knights of the Realm, Hawks, Arrows, and regular Peasant Bowmen mixed with Spearmen in the back line. So a nice wide Bretonian build. So because of the archers, I'm going to just rush straight in, try and punch through over on one side. We've got the Minotaurs on this side. Meanwhile, the Razorgores are just going to kind of contest against the Knights of the Realm here, keep them somewhat occupied. We've got Gotrek switching over onto this side, so as the Minotaurs rush on through, they're going to be getting blanketed by plenty of arrow fire here. We're going to pull up a Manticore summon first, try and throw that into the back line, maybe terrify away some archers, and yeah. Gotrek here manages to get himself surrounded. It's a little bit hard to see, but he is here, and he's getting attacked by 3 infantry heroes. Morger, especially with his poison and decent weapon strength, will actually do quite well. You can see Gotrek's already taken a ton of damage from these guys. It just really doesn't match up well when he's outnumbered by enemy foot heroes and lords. Especially Beastcasters also aren't terrible slouches in terms of actual casters. So meanwhile, over on the far side, things aren't going terribly well for the pigs. We haven't done a whole lot of damage. Turn's been doing a great job cycle charging with his Knights of the Realm, pulling back through his own forces and then charging back in, utilizing that charge bonus and letting the peasants take the hits here. Not to mention the Che Enchantress also in the Fey Enchantress also in melee here, going to be providing her Mortis Engine effect. So I'm feeling the need to pressure this side very quickly and just break a bunch of units, try and terror route them off the back of the map, which is pretty close here. So we're going to throw another Manticore summon, just try and go full pressure on this side. I do make a little bit of a mistake here, potentially, in switching my Minotaurs over. You can see that all of my supporting units just broke here, and that means that all of these Knights of the Realm are going to get free damage, more or less. There's no, kind of supporting units to take the hits here. Not to mention we've got these peasants with their nice square shields, pitchforks, and spears coming in. They're going to be very cost-effective against the Minotaurs. Even the shielded ones with their little bit of extra armor and melee defense, Spearmen-at-Arms still will do quite well. Meanwhile, the summoned spawn are just being used to chase routing units here. Same thing with the Manticore. I'm just heavily outnumbered here, so I'm trying to pressure as many of these units just off the side of the field as I can while I have this big power spike going. Balance power is pretty falsely inflated here as we've got multiple summons that are close to degenerating, and you can see as they start to pop that the balance of power will kind of slow down for me a little bit. These hounds also, there's one unit of Battle Pilgrims that managed to transition back here with some Men-at-Arms and actually route my Poison Warhounds, which had been keeping a lot of these units actually routing here. So another great play from Turin there, able to kind of bail out a lot of his units and actually chase my hounds off the side there, so kind of returning the favor a little bit. That being said, we've still got the hero squad relatively healthy. Destroyers of Drakewald supporting them. Still got a few supporting spears. We're going to go for a second push over here with all of these units just to try and keep these units tied up as well. And I figured with the spears and the pigs, we could probably do some decent damage to the Knights of the Realm. Unfortunately for me, the Holy Wardens of Lemaisenthal, they just do great DPS against all low armor units, which is everything in this blob. The anti-large, of course, of the Knights will do well against the pigs. There's also some Peasant Spearmen mixed in there as well. They're going to be very cost-effective against the pigs, so it's just not a great engagement for me. And the low leadership and the supporting missile fire of those peasants able to rout away that little pocket of Beastmen. So balance of power has equalized quite a bit, things stabilizing somewhat for Bretonnia as Turn kind of takes a defensive position up against the rocks here to try and finish things. I don't really have very many numbers to pursue him. Unfortunately, just a handful of Ungor Spearmen herd and my hero squad, really, as the rest of these units being chased off by those Knights of the Realm. So, yeah. tough situation for me potentially, and considering I already burned the 2 mobile summons, which would definitely be more useful in this situation, all I have left is potentially summoning a Cygor, which, while it is certainly strong, it's going to be pressured here by all of these peasant bowmen. It's not very mobile, so I can't get back here and like pressure these units or get a big charge. One nice thing about the Manticore is it has great charge animations, and since it's a flying unit, obviously you can kind of dictate the engagements to a degree. So yeah, ultimately I was regretting at this point using both of the Manticore summons earlier. I definitely should have opened probably with a Cygor summon and then got a second Manticore summon kind of midway to help pressure, and then saved the last Manticore summon for this situation, because here balance of power is close. Honestly, is maybe a little falsely inflated even for Morgr still, but Ern's going to catch me on a nice rear charge here. I don't quite get braced in time, but the spears are able to still turn around and get some decent attacks, maybe drag down a handful of those knight models there, but the mobility advantage that Bretonnia has at this point is going to be an absolute pain for me to deal with. The Destroyers of Drakkwald, not really sure which direction to route in, but just getting fully surrounded by Bretonnia here. A handful of spears routing out, coming back from route rather, out in the distance, but about to get pancaked by these knights. So yeah, not looking good for the Beastie Boys. We do still have our hero squad fighting though, and there aren't very many high-powered melee units for Bretonnia left. There are some of these Battle Pilgrims, which will do a little bit of damage, especially to the Bray Shamans, which obviously don't have the best melee defense. Only 28 melee defense on them, so the Battle Pilgrims actually match up pretty decently there. Morgr obviously will be a little bit tougher, but I mean, Morgr by himself can't take all of this in the end game. And the fact that there's all these peasant bowmen still providing fire, the Cygor is about to be unsummoned here. Has taken not too much damage, but still hasn't really been able to get its value back. It's just mostly been whacking at peasants all day, eating them, I guess. Very nice. We do manage to not quite terrify those Knights of the Realm off the side, unfortunately. But yeah, you can see once the Bray Shamans start to rout and be shattered by the Fey Enchantress, that's going to quickly lead to critical army losses for me. So yeah, well played to Turin. Nice to see a Bretonnia victory as well. And yeah, I made a couple mistakes here. I do think on army selection as well maybe wasn't the best idea, but I definitely had the tools I needed to win. I just think the order of the summons was not maybe ideal. Obviously, sacrificing those Minotaurs unsupported in that center engagement there was pretty tough. That was a lot of value I lost out on, so definitely well played to Turin. He had some great plays there, beautifully played with the Knights of the Realm in particular. That's got to be one of the best games I've seen recently with Knights of the Realm. They're a unit that I am not super high on personally. I don't use them terribly often, but certainly this is one matchup, I think, where they can shine. Knights of the Realm, really in my mind, their ideal targets are going to be stuff like low armor monstrous infantry for the most part. Things like, obviously Minotaurs and Chaos Spawn fit into that category, but also like Rat Ogres, Trolls even. Stuff like that, that low armor monstrous infantry, also low armor cavalry obviously, but especially the monstrous infantry, going to be the ideal targets for these Knights of the Realm. Morgr, at this point, just not really going to be able to hold up his leadership, especially with a little bit of the healing, tipping that balance of power ever so slightly more, and that will be a defeat for the Beastmen. So very well played to Turin. Yeah, Gotrek had a rough day, but the rest of the army was able to carry pretty hard. My Minotaurs did a great job initially, but kind of got put into a tough situation there, and like I said, great job with those Knights of the Realm. 150 kills, 124, only 4 for this one. They got crumped a little bit, but yeah. Spearmen able to do okay, 120 kills on the Destroyers of Drakkwald especially, but the pigs definitely did not pay out for me very well. Didn't use them super effectively, and Turin was able to kind of counter them very effectively also. So they can be a potentially potent tool in this matchup. Only 550 points, and it's really not super hard to make them pay for themselves, but I just didn't use them the best necessarily in this matchup. And it's definitely an interesting one. On that map, that Glacial Lake map, a little bit too small. I guess I could have still brought a Cygor and maybe positioned like over on the other side of that little ravine. Go ahead and take a look here at that actual map. Let's see, Glacial Lake, one of the smallest maps in the game, and one I use for testing as well because it's basically perfectly flat. Yeah, this little kind of formation right here, I guess I could have deployed my Cygor up into the side of that, so he would have had to split up his army to go around, maybe tried to break up his advance, but just because the map is so small overall, Really wasn't super confident in bringing the Regiment of Renowned Cygor there, which I think would be a pretty decent pick in many cases against Bretonnia. If you can keep the archers out of range, this thing can be particularly strong there. But yeah, just in hindsight on that one, I might have actually cut the Cygor Summoner. I really don't feel like I would have got that great a value in this particular situation. I really think that's better against maybe more monster-centric matchups. And instead, in that hero slot, I probably would have taken a Gorbel, cut down his abilities, and just take the passive, have him support the Minotaurs so they get a little bit of extra punch, and also he provides some nice splash attacks as well. But, you know, hindsight's 2020. We'll see if I can beat Turin in the next game. Be sure to tune in for that tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.